Hello and welcome to Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every week we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber. As always, we're here to talk a little bit about the last week in the W. We got Commissioner Cup, we've got the All Star Team, we've got a lot of stuff around the league to go through and players to talk about. But first, Kristen, how are you today?
I am good. I am loving the summer. I need to go to the beach. I'm ready for that. To relax.
Ready for some vacay?
Yes. For this weekend.
Yeah, you got a little long weekend coming up. We're recording this a little later than normally. We decided to call a little bit of an audible with this week's show. We were going to look at the Liberty, and then when we really saw how many games that they were playing this week, it was the Commissioner Cup, which doesn't count as a regular season game, and then one game last Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like the league thought the Liberty would be in the Commissioner Cup and wanted to make the schedule around that for them.
Give them a little bit of a break, you're saying.
So, yeah, it wasn't really a good week to be fans of the Liberty. So we're going to do that this week.
Yes.
So this podcast really will just be looking at all different events of last week and going over that Commissioner's Cup game.
Correct. So,
and we wanted to wait for the All Star list to come out. Because that came out today on Tuesday.
Correct. We're currently recording this a little bit before the roster is released. And we know that the All Star game, which takes place on July 20th, will be a Team USA versus Team All Stars match. So we know that the 12 All Stars that end up gaining the most votes to be chosen onto that team will be competing against those Olympians, and there won't be overlap. So we know that it'll be 12 fresh faces that we can talk about. So we're going to do some live reacting to that roster tonight, and then you'll hear about it ahead of the 4th of July holiday coming up. So first off, as Kristen said, why don't we get into the Commissioner Cup, which we saw last Tuesday on the 25th of June. We had the Minnesota Lynx, who came in with a 4-1 qualifier record versus the 5-0 New York Liberty, who won last year's Commissioner Cup. And after a bit of a slugfest and a high-scoring game, the Lynx came out on top, 94-89. Minnesota, the away team, becomes the third team in a row in this Commissioner Cup era to win the Cup
away.
And that was exciting, especially considering we said, I think we're going to, back the Lynx here.
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, you always want an underdog, quote unquote, to win.
Sure.
I think the Lynx were considered kind of an underdog in that scenario.
Right.
The Liberty were at home technically, but not really, because they weren't playing in Barclays Center. They were playing in the UBS Arena. So it was their home crowd.
Yeah.
But not, I mean, they're close, but not 100% at home.
Yeah. Of course, we had the NBA draft shenanigans
Yeah.
forcing them out of Barclays.
Oh, sorry. You have to play somewhere else. Your championship game, you have to play that somewhere else because we have to set up for an event tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't really know what that was all about. It was probably a bit of a scheduling mishap. You're the one that said that they thought that the Liberty were going to be in the game. So
right, so they should have scheduled it better. If you know the draft is always there.
Well, see, if the Liberty weren't the hosts, then it would have been okay.
Because the Aces were the host last year.
Right. So if the Aces didn't have these early season struggles, lacking Chelsea Gray, they're on a bit of a tear, then things might have been different.
Well,
but
it's exciting that it was something different. I'm glad it was the Lynx, and the Lynx pulled it out.
It is exciting.
But coming into that game, it was really an interesting matchup because going into that game, the Lynx had the number one defense rating, and the Liberty had the number one offensive rating of the whole league. So you're like, wow, this is really like the best offensive team versus the best defensive team.
Which, the concept for this year's Commissioner Cup, dialing it back from 10 games to 5, I think really paid off because these teams were, hyper focused on this matchup or building toward this matchup. And we really lucked out and got basically the best possible matchup that we could have expected.
Oh, for sure.
So.
And I guess I kind of was viewing it while I was taking notes of through the lens of we're going to be talking about the Liberty. So I did kind of take most of my notes about what the Liberty were doing. But just one thing that was insane in this game was it was Sabrina Ionescu and Brianna Stewart, and they would all pass around the ball to each other. And then you just have Kayla Thornton standing in the corner.
Yes.
Kind of just chilling out for a second. And then they'd get the defenders away from her. They'd pass her the ball and she'd make a 3.
Yep.
That happened 5 times, almost back to back to back in that game.
Yep.
Over and over. She just made her corner 3s and nobody's even close to defending her. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, and I said this while we were watching that is a defensive decision by Minnesota to leave Kayla wide open. And of course, it was a bit of an iffy decision considering that Kayla is shooting the ball really well this year, but historically, in her time in the W, she's not the best 3-point shooter. She's in the low 30s.
I'm sure she's not making 5 threes a game.
But she's shooting 40 odd % this year. So, she shot 9, she made 5.
Yeah.
So she definitely was having a day.
Yeah, well, she cooled off towards the end, but I was amazed at that. Again. You're just leaving her wide open. But ultimately, the Lynx defense won in the end and beat the Liberty. It was a really good game. Yeah,
well, and to dig in a little bit, the first half was Liberty pretty much. Liberty go into the first half up 3. So after 1, it was okay, looks like the Liberty, they're getting hot shooting, and Minnesota was still, keeping up with them. But it's really the story is in the third quarter when Minnesota absolutely locks them up. So the Liberty only scored 10 points in that quarter, which, everything was sort of falling off. One of the big stories of the game for me as a fan of Jonquel, I've talked about her a lot, and her numbers, her plus minus is okay, but you can't judge everything off of plus minus. She only had 3 points.
3 points.
3 points. Whole game. And I think all on free throws, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that. But
at least 2 were on free throws. So yeah, probably all 3.
All 3. 3 out of 4 free throws. She missed how many shots? She only took 3 attempts.
Yeah.
Which is
because they were so good at defending her at the rim.
So she passed out, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because, she's obviously playing very good ball. And I expect her to be one of these all-stars at the end of the day. But the fact that, you can only manage 3, if she has 7, let's say, midway through the game, and she's doing her normal thing, even if slightly below her normal thing, they're going to win the game because that would spur their team on. But if you as Minnesota can sort of shut her down, then that helps you out because you have to worry about Sabrina. You have to worry about Stewie. And they did a pretty good job on Stewie. Stewie's numbers, her plus minus was the lowest in the entire game, minus 11, which she played a lot. Yeah. But Stewie's just crazy. Now that we're really sort of focusing on her ability to just get she just draws a triple team and so casually can just do a fadeaway jumper on 1 foot and score. I get it. She is something else.
Well, we'll look deeper into that.
We will.
This upcoming week.
But you got to give credit to Minnesota, who Nafisa Collier ends up winning the MVP of the game.
Yeah, which good for her. I think that was kind of expected. She's thought of to be the best player on the team.
Right.
But I would have put up an argument that Bridget Carlton should have won
and
the MVP.
And so would Nafisa.
Yeah.
So would Nafisa.
She had more points. She had more assists. She had more 3-pointers. Her shooting percentage was much higher. So I would have given it to Bridget, but okay, it's fine. They all were very happy.
Right. And they don't win the game if Bridget doesn't hit 6 of her threes. So we talk about Kayla on the one side, Bridget on the other side.
Yeah.
Bridget, who's, if I believe so, at least eye test wise, the better of the two, probably historically. She was great, and Afisa was like, I want to give the trophy to Bridget. And Bridget's like, no, don't do that.
Well, you can watch Bridget on the Australian national team.
No.
Why?
Canadian national team.
Canadian national team. Okay, good.
Yeah, so no, I think she's going to start for Canada, but I wonder, like, is she the best player on that team? I've looked at that roster before, but I didn't recognize too many names.
Okay.
But it would be kind of cool if it was like the Bridget Carlton show.
Oh, yeah.
For Team Canada.
Oh, she'll be shooting all of her threes for them, sure.
Oh, yeah. They just got to draw up the play for her. So congratulations to Minnesota for taking home that trophy. It's a nice-looking trophy. And we'll look forward to next year's Commissioner Cup and see if, for the 4th year in a row, we can get an away team winning. Mm-hmm. So that sort of covers our talk about the in-season tournament in the WNBA. So now we turn our focus more towards All-Star, and then the Olympic break, and then, of course, the end of the regular season and onwards to the playoffs. So why don't we just take a look around the league before we get into this All-Star roster?
Yeah. A lot of things happened this week.
Yeah.
So there were 2 players on pretty hot streaks. Asia was on her 20 points per game streak, which was ended, sadly.
Yes.
On Saturday versus the Mystics, surprisingly.
Yeah.
She only had 11 points.
We're going to talk about the Mystics a little bit.
Yeah, Stephanie Dolson, I guess, shut her down. So that was sad for Asia. And then the other streak was Angel Reese, who had 9 double-doubles in a row. They were playing the Lynx, actually, on Saturday.
Yep.
And, I mean, the game was close for a while. Towards the end, you knew the Lynx were going to win.
Yeah.
But I was dialed into that game, like praying for Angel, hoping that she could get her 10th straight double-double.
Right.
Which she ended up doing on free throws with only 20 seconds left of the game. She had enough rebounds for a while. She had 17 rebounds in the game.
She's a monster on the boards, really.
She had 7 points and she had 9 points. I was like, oh, can she get one more point?
And she missed the first free throw.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh,
right.
Is it going to happen?
So she got it. She has 10 consecutive double-doubles in one season, the first time any player in the
crazy.
W. They said Candace Parker has 12 consecutive, but over 2 seasons. I think she had 9 to end the season and then 3 to start. So does that count?
I mean, like they count it in the NBA, I believe, like if a streak's like that.
Okay.
But I would say I would give major credit to the fact that Angel is a rookie, and like, just to speak on this, Angel gets a bad rap for being a player who gets under the hoop and puts the ball up, and she'll miss a layup, and then she'll get the rebound, and then she'll miss it again, and she'll get the rebound.
Oh,
but
that
like,
happened 100 times.
She does that a lot.
Yeah.
She does it a lot. But what I want to say, for the people that like sort of clown that and take screenshots of the play-by-play, seeing miss layup, rebound, miss layup, rebound. The fact that she, has the motor to go and get it every time, get the rebound, like
over 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
Right on her.
Yeah, that is a testament to the type of game that she plays. And I know she's a divisive player, but her ability is legit. Mm-hmm. She's a odds-on, top 2 rookie of the year vote getter at this point. Mm-hmm. If the votes were coming in tomorrow, I think it would be pretty split between her and Caitlin.
She's the rookie player of the month.
The rookie player of the month. Caitlin was the rookie player of the month last month.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give her some flowers, and I know not everybody wants to give her flowers, but like, I think that this is an impressive streak that we should be paying attention to.
Yeah. And you could tell, like, they were playing the Lynx. The Lynx has the number one defense. They were trying hard to stop her from getting these rebounds. And there are 4 of them on top of her, and she's still getting them. Really impressive.
Yeah. So it's worth the shout out there.
So keep your eye on the sky.
Ooh, that was good.
Just to see if Angel can keep up her streak. The next games they are playing are... Oh, they're playing the Dream tonight.
They play the Dream tonight. Yes.
So hopefully she can keep it up against the Dream.
We will see if she can continue the streak. Let's talk a little bit about the Washington Mystics, who it was more so last week, not this week, that the Mystics sort of started to get things together. They actually won 2 games in a row. So they beat Dallas twice, and then they had this really close game against the Sun that almost looked like they were going to steal it. But I just want to give some credit to the fact that now they're 4-14 as we're recording this, and like they're just at 4-15. LA, Dallas, Washington all have within have a game of one another or the same record. So there was this idea that like Washington was so much worse than everybody else. And I think that's pretty overblown considering that they haven't had Shakira Austin for 12 plus straight games, who's like one of their best, if not their best player.
Yeah, Brittany Sykes, who's been hurt.
They've been in, and a lot of these teams that are on the bottom, it appears to be more an injury issue than a team design issue.
Correct.
So I just want to give some credit to that, and especially want to give credit, as you mentioned, Stephanie Dolson, who is a player that I believe deserves some all-star nods. We'll see if she actually makes the team, but she's shooting the heck out of the ball, especially from deep. She's, in her career, her highest 3 points attempted per game is 2.4, and this year she's shooting 4.6 attempts per game, and she's hitting 50% of them. And I feel like every time we have the Mystics on, Stephanie Dolson is at the top of the arc, and she puts it in, and I'm just like impressed at her ability as a center to have a really nice shot. She has really good touch, and I just believe that her numbers don't necessarily jump off the page outside of that shooting percentage, but like she deserves a nod, I feel like.
Sure, I guess maybe in the past she just wasn't given a lot of opportunity, and now with so many people hurt, she is taking the chances that she can get. Yeah,
I mean, she started every game this year, so I don't know what it's going to look like. It may be a product of Shakira Austin not playing, actually, considering they play. I think Shakira Austin's a power forward center, and Stephanie's a center, so there might be that overlap there, and that's part of the reason why she didn't get all these attempts. But I just think that she's clearly a positive player, and there was also that picture of the Mystics hanging out with Gordon Ramsay for some reason, watching a soccer match, I believe. Yeah, watching women's team in DC. Yeah. Shout out to Chris. We know that's your team. So cool. I just want to give them a pat on the back because we don't talk about them a lot because they're one of the worst teams in the league, but like they have talent on that team.
For sure. Okay, so another team that has been bad, but has done some interesting things lately is Dallas. They obviously have had a lot of injuries, but they, this past Tuesday, signed Odyssey Sims.
Tell me about Odyssey Sims.
A+ name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great name.
Incredible name. This past Tuesday, so they have this what's called a hardship contract, where if you have 2 or more players on your team that are injured or for whatever reason, can't play, you can sign players for like a 10-day contract. So they signed Odyssey Sims, who'd been retired. She'd been with the Wings in the past. They signed her to this hardship contract. And then the Wings, the next day, beat the Lynx, who had just won
the Commissioner Cup
against the Liberty.
Yeah.
And you're like, you shouldn't lose this
Could
game.
it be Odyssey Sims?
Odyssey Sims was going off in that game.
Yes.
She completely changed the vibes of the team. Like, can go right along with Arike, keep up with Arike, and completely, like, made the team more, brought up the vibes. It's positive vibes now for the Wings.
Well, they are the worst record now.
Okay,
tied for the worst
I'm just
record.
saying they have better vibes, much better vibes.
Sure.
So that she was on that hardship contract, and then a couple of days later, they fully signed her for the rest of the season. So she'll be on the team the rest of the year.
Nice.
I expect them to win more when Maddie Siegrist comes back, etc.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they could make a push and try to, like, be that 8th team. I don't know if they're quite good enough.
I don't expect them to, like, make the playoffs all of a sudden.
But you get Siegrist back, you get Satu back after the Olympic break, potentially.
You just don't want your vibes to be, like, horrible.
No. Well, and then if you get Paige Beckers, your vibes are going to be pretty sweet.
Oh, for sure.
If you ask me. But I don't know how that works with Arike or Odyssey, or, you know. It could be interesting if they shake up the team. But yes, shout out to Odyssey Sims, who you put me onto. I was like, who's this Odyssey Sims person?
Yeah.
And Kristen was like, oh yeah, she just came out of retirement. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Okay, so check her out.
Check her out.
And then there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, and that was the game on Sunday, Fever versus the Mercury. Well, first of all, I wanted to say the way that the Mercury handled this game, especially like Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, was very nice to see. How they, like, embraced Caitlin.
Yeah.
How they, like, gave her props or patting her on the back, like giving her hugs.
Yeah.
After the Fever beat them.
Yeah.
Fever beat the Mercury. The first team they beat that was over 500.
Oh, so a big win for the Fever.
Huge
turning
win.
point type win.
Oh yeah, huge win. They, like, shot up in the power rankings after that. But Caitlin was 1 rebound away from having a triple-double.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that. I didn't see the stat line.
And she would have been the first rookie ever to have a triple-double.
She's bound to get one, I really do think.
Yeah, she is. Now that her assists are being handled by the other players better.
Right. And that's what, people were saying, that she's throwing these crazy cross-court passes and it's just bouncing off of her teammates' hands. And Kristen was like, she shouldn't be throwing those passes then. But I was like, she should be throwing wide open passes.
You have to know they probably aren't going to catch this.
I don't know about that.
You got to know who you're playing with, who you're working with. But yeah, I do expect her at some point to have a triple-double. Because then afterwards, her teammates were like, oh, you just needed one more rebound. She was like, oh, I know.
That's okay.
So she'll get it, I think.
Yeah, Aaliyah giving her advice.
Yeah.
She never gets advice.
Oh, she never gets advice during the games.
But it's starting to be really interesting in the middle of this standings. If the Fever can beat teams that are, above 500, if they can contend, I really don't know if they can contend with New York or Minnesota,
no,
or even Connecticut. Like, they're going to struggle, but they can steal some of these. They should be able to beat Atlanta. They could maybe get out of that 8 spot. They could go all the way up to 7, maybe even push for 6. So it's gonna be. There's a lot of season to play, and now they're on like a normal schedule where they're not playing every other day. And
I mean,
could be helpful.
I do think 6 is the highest they can get. They're not going to beat the Aces consistently, or the Lynx or the Liberty. I mean, we'll see what it happens with Atlanta. I think Phoenix could have played better.
Of course.
I don't know. I didn't watch that game so closely. It kind of felt like sluggish, like the Mercury are being kind of slow. They said something like Diana Taurasi only runs fast 1%
1% of the time.
of the game.
Well, she's
like, huh?
She's in her 40s. That's part of the reason.
I know.
LeBron also runs like maybe 2%.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was just interesting. So, I don't know. Good for Caitlin. I don't expect this to mean that they're about to win. But I think their goal, really the team's goal, is to make the playoffs.
Correct.
So, they'll do that, I think, handily, and good for them.
Yep. So, that'll do it for our look around the league heading in. We're going to move over now and do a little reaction to the All-Star roster. Okay, so we just got the All-Star roster. I have yet to look at it. Kristen has checked it out. We're going to do a live reaction.
I've been thinking about it for about an hour.
Yeah, I have been out of the house. I came back. This is still the same night of the announcement. So a little behind the scenes magic here. But I'm excited to learn. I think I know 3 people that have made the roster, but I don't know the full 12. Is it 12?
Yep, it's 12.
It's 12. Okay, well, why don't you go from the top? Is this in any particular order?
I don't really know. They listed the guards and then the forwards, but I'm not really sure what order they did it in. I can just read it how they put it on the screen.
Okay. Oh, because what you were watching the game?
I was watching. It was like a pregame before the Aces
Fever game, right? Okay.
And they barely even talked about it. They just like showed the list and then talked about other stuff.
Oh, here it is.
So weird, but okay.
Okay.
Well, first of all, the jerseys are pink.
Look, we manifested that.
I did.
I saw Kristen say in a message on my phone while I was out, pink logo, and I was like, oh,
yes.
Could this be the moment?
So first they had Caitlin.
Okay, of course. I did know that Caitlin made it.
Yeah, obviously.
She probably led the fan vote, if I had to imagine.
Yeah. Then was Alicia Gray.
Yes, Aura. We love Alicia Gray, who I didn't mention it earlier, but we still don't have any idea who's on this 3-on-3 team replacing Ryan Howard, unless they decided that within...
No, they didn't.
Great.
But Stephanie Dolson was on it last year. The 3-on-3 team.
Dang, dude.
I just found that out.
That's so sick.
Right? I don't know if she went to the camps for this year, but she should just be on it.
She wasn't on the list.
Ugh.
I would have stumped for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kayla McBride.
Good. Happy for Kayla.
Kelsey Mitchell. I was like, huh?
I mean, sure.
Okay.
There's a reason that the Fever have X amount of wins.
Yeah. I mean, after looking...
She's been an all-star.
Yeah.
Before.
She has more points per game than Caitlin does.
Really? Is she leading the team?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
My guess. Just nobody ever talks about her. But
right. I don't think it necessarily comes across. It doesn't pop out.
No, it doesn't.
But
just because Caitlin and Aaliyah are much, bigger.
Higher profile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, okay. I've come to accept that after an hour of looking at it.
Okay.
Okay. Arike. Of course. Dewana Bonner.
Yep, makes sense. Knew that one.
Her 6th time being an all-star.
Sweet. Do you know anything about who has the most all-stars, or is she's got to be close to the top?
She's not the top that I saw, but I guess one of the top.
One of the top, yeah. 6 is pretty good.
Aaliyah Boston.
Okay.
Dearica Hamby.
Okay. Interesting. Well, she's Olympic team, but not 5-on-5.
Right, the 3-on-3, yeah.
But she's also a replacement, so I guess it's kind of tough.
Yeah, but I don't think that was I don't think you couldn't be on it because you're on the 3-on-3.
Right, but she could have gotten a lot of votes before. Well, no, true. I guess people still voted for Asia Wilson, even though Asia Wilson doesn't get chosen to be an all-star.
Yeah. Brianna Jones.
Okay. Cool.
Jonquel Jones.
Double Joneses.
Love. Nneka.
Nneka Ogwumike, okay.
Her 9th time.
That's gotta be up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's gotta be pretty close to the top.
Yeah, it's gotta. Because the 2 they showed were Nneka and Dewana, so perhaps they have the most of this list.
Okay.
And then Angel Reese.
That's it.
Rounding it out.
That's great. It's good to get her in there. It's good to get her in there.
I don't know. I think she had one of the most top fan votes.
Wow.
Her and Caitlin.
Okay. So, yeah, well, I guess the fan vote pulls it up, but I don't know what percentage that.
I think the fan
it
vote
50%?
was 50.
Okay.
And then the rest was the media and the coaches.
The media.
And current players.
Okay.
Voted, I guess.
Cool. So I did a fact check, and Sue Bird apparently had the most All-Stars with 13.
Sure.
So, but NECA could get to 13? NECA's still young. NECA's still a young player. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you've looked at that roster,
yeah,
which is also a very good roster, if that was the Olympic roster, you're probably you're crushing and winning gold.
Yeah.
How do you think it matches up? Have you done like a side by side?
Well, can we talk about who was left off of it?
True. Why don't we
I think there's one particular person that you should thank. I can't believe she was left off.
Megan Gustafson. Pancake Gustafson.
Sadly, no, Pancake won't be there.
One person that obviously should be on there. Let me roll through the ideas. I'm like trying to remember who's on the Olympic team versus who's on the. Okay, it's not a Liberty player. No, it's not a
Storm player.
Oh, Jewel Lloyd. No, she's on the Olympic team. Skylar?
No.
Oh, freaking Jordan Horston?
No.
Yeah, Ezzy Magbegor.
Yes, Ezzy.
I wonder if that's because she's on the Australian Olympic team.
No, that could not matter.
It might.
I'd be really pissed if that's why. I don't know why she was left off. She was an All-Star last year.
The reason last year there wasn't an Olympics. The reason I didn't go to Ezzy first, as much as I'd love Ezzy Magbegor, is that in my brain, I have operated that if I know you are on an Olympic team, you will not be an All-Star. Because you'll be an Olympian.
But it's not like you're playing against the whole Australian team, just one player.
I mean, I guess in the case of Dearica Hamby, we know that she's an Olympian. It's just like she's not a 5-on-5 Olympian. I don't think there's any crossover. I know John Quell doesn't play for America, but her team, Bosnia and Herzegovina, is not in the Olympics. I don't know who else.
I don't know.
Would be.
Maybe that was why.
Like Arike was an American, a U.S. snub.
Well, I just also learned that Arike pulled herself out of it.
Really?
She said, basically, I can tell I'm not going to be picked, so I'm pulling myself out.
Okay.
So that's not a great look for Team USA.
Not a great look. Well, she'll probably make it the next one, I guess.
I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I think Ezzy was for sure the biggest snub here.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully there's a good reason that she was left off.
We'll never know. Some other notable people that I had been voting for.
Yeah. Who do we put votes in for?
I was voting for Dejanay.
Yeah, Dejanay.
I was voting for Bridget Carlton.
I voted for Jordan Horston. I was voting for Stephanie Dolson.
Mm-hmm. I think Ariel Atkins also should have been on it.
Yeah.
Because there's not one Mystics player on the All-Star team or the Olympic team.
So you would have thought that there were almost had to be. I know Shakira tried out with the team. Obviously Shakira's hurt, so
obviously Ryan Howard would have if she.
Well, that's Atlanta.
Oh, I get them confused. They're too similar looking.
Right, Ariel Atkins is.
Yeah, Mystics.
Washington Mystics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. It's the logos.
The logos are both red, white, and blue.
I know. So yeah, I guess there's not any other. I mean,
every other team.
One Sparks player.
Yeah, every other team has at least one person.
That's weird. Usually they just get at least one.
I know.
You know.
Yeah. So both of them, they should have been on. But okay, yes, I did I tried to see who could be the starters for Team USA.
Okay.
Who could be the starters for Team W?
Now, it's called Team W?
Yeah, that's
Did
what
they
it is.
decide, is it not based on voting what defines who the starters are?
Oh,
For,
I don't think.
okay. I mean, let me know what you think. I'm going to just double check that because I thought it said like, oh, vote on, here are the starters,
Oh.
but maybe not.
No, I don't think that's the case. I feel like the coaches will decide who's going to start. But fun fact, the last time they did it in this format was 2021, when they also had the Olympics that year. It was the Team USA versus Team W, and the Team W won, beat Team USA, which is...
That's pretty interesting. Well,
Yeah.
but you always wonder like, is Team USA like not putting on the gas because they're like, well, we're not going to get hurt in an exhibition game against our own players before we go play against.
Yeah, they're saving it.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, you're right. Starters for both teams will be determined by the head coach.
Yeah, you can't have like all guards be the starting lineup.
Well, yeah, but it
just
could be
'cause
the highest vote getter at each position. But
Well, there's no centers on the team, so
woo!
also justice for Ezzy.
Jonquil could play center. Should play center. Anyway,
Yes, I think she will.
talk about hypothetical matchups.
So yeah, I guess hypothetical starters for Team USA. Last year, I guess not 2021. Last time they had a team. Brittany Griner started at center.
Okay.
But I think if they want her to for height, she could start.
This is for the Olympic team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would imagine they would pick the same starters.
It would be BG. Yeah, I think it'll be BG.
instead of Asia. Asia plays center.
Asia will play the 4.
Okay.
I expect both of them to start, personally.
Okay, fine. Then I think Stewie's gonna start.
Yep.
I think Chelsea Gray should start. I think she started today.
Yeah.
And then I think Sabrina will start.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, that's two aces and 2 Liberty.
Yeah.
And the coach of the Olympic team is
Cheryl Reeve.
Cheryl Reeve, so the Lynx. Mm-hmm. And then the coach of Team W, do we know who that is?
I don't know. It might be Teaspoon.
Oh, okay. This article does not confirm, but I would not be shocked if it was Teaspoon. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be like a preferential treatment by, the coach. Like, does Nafisa get a nod because Cheryl Reeve is,
She can be the first off the bench. I don't know.
or
she could start. I mean,
it's
she's
crazy.
going to start over Asia or Stewie? No.
Somebody's going to sit, or multiple people are probably not going to play at all.
Right.
So
I don't think Kelsey Plum's going to play that much.
No, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if she was one of the back of the bench
Yeah.
folks there. But okay, so that's your hypothetical
Yeah.
starting lineup. I think I mostly agree. Maybe Sabrina doesn't start because she's young. She's one of the youngest, or she is the youngest person on the team.
Jewel could start instead of her.
Yeah. But we'll see.
Okay.
So what does it look like on the other side?
Then I would say Jonquil.
Yep.
I would say Arike.
Yep.
I would say NECA.
Yep.
I think Caitlin's going to start.
Yep.
Just
I agree.
to make people happy.
Correct.
And then I think it's either Dewana Bonner or Dearica Hamby.
I think Dewana sounds right there. Just to
She's also one of the
most decorated All Stars.
Yeah.
So I think that sounds pretty good to me.
Okay.
But who knows how many minutes anybody will play. Like maybe Kayla McBride will start. I don't know. Whoever the other longest term I actually don't think Caitlin starts then.
You don't think?
No, I think she might be the first one off the bench.
Okay.
Her and Angel.
People will be furious.
I mean, she's going to be there. She's probably going to do the 3-point contest. I don't know. They haven't announced that
Oh, no.
yet.
Yeah, she should do that.
She should do that.
Okay, fine. She does that. She doesn't have to start.
Correct. I look. There's going to be enough attention as is for Cece, so
Yeah.
I don't think she needs to start. But I mean, I think it's a good game. I'll certainly give the edge to the Olympians.
I will give the edge to the Olympians this year.
But you never know. And
I feel like this Team W just seems too random to me.
random.
Like, it doesn't it?
I mean, it feels a little bit, but of course, it's just like, here's not necessarily the top 12 vote getters. Here's
Right.
like, people that we know are in the top 24 vote getters.
Yeah.
But in what order?
But maybe.
Who knows?
Like, I read something briefly that was like, maybe Kelsey Mitchell was not a top vote getter. She was somebody that, the coaches and
Boosted.
me, right. They boosted her.
Hey,
Fine.
it feels like a lot of guards, but maybe
Yes.
not. Maybe not.
No, a lot of guards on Team USA.
Yes.
Not a lot.
No, a lot of forwards on, or I had a pretty even distribution, but no true center.
Nope.
I mean, there's very few true centers in WNBA anyway, so.
Yeah, well, as he is.
It's true.
Yeah, so I will give the edge to Team USA this year. I just feel like perhaps they're going to want to give Arike the ball. They're going to want to give Caitlin the ball. That perhaps will butt heads.
Well, if Arike Agumbawale takes more than 15 shots, that's a little silly. Like, I know she likes to take...
You're worried she's going to get hurt.
No, I'm not worried that she's going to get hurt. I'm just thinking that she takes so many shots in any normal game for Dallas in the regular season. Like, you don't have to take every shot.
She doesn't need to.
In the All-Star game, you don't have to.
Well, maybe she's used to it now.
And I've never watched an All-Star game for the WNBA. Maybe it's a little more competitive than an NBA All-Star game. But, in those games, if you've never watched, it's just basically trick shots.
I think it will be more competitive.
I mean, I think they tend to, we've said in the past, just they play hard and they kind of don't mess around. So it'll be interesting if they do mess around to see what that looks like, because they're not going to do crazy dunks. Well, sometimes players do dunk in the All-Star game.
That's true. That's like, oh, I can show you that I can dunk.
Whenever I'm like...
Because we're just having fun.
Right. Whenever I'm like, oh, this player has definitely dunked before in the W. It's like, oh, she dunked one time in the 2017 All-Star game. And I'm like, okay.
Okay, so we're on BG Dunk Watch, I guess.
Certainly on BG Dunk Watch. If any other player dunks,
yeah.
then I'll be like clapping like a seal.
Would you bet on that? One player will dunk in the All-Star game.
It's a really good question, and I would take the over. I would bet that there's one dunk.
Okay.
Do I get BG?
Sure.
Then yes. Then absolutely there would be a dunk. Well, BG shouldn't do that, though, because she doesn't want to get hurt.
She's fine.
Well, there we go. That's our rather
I
spirited conversation.
I just will think it will be fun, like watching some of these current team members playing against each other.
Of course.
Like DeWanna Bonner playing against Alyssa Thomas. That will be fun.
Yeah. And then you get the dynamic of Caitlin passing to Angel.
Yes. I'm really excited for that. Because they could technically not play together,
Yeah,
but they will for sure. I think they'll put them in together.
At least for a minute.
Yeah, they have to. And having like Jonquel playing against Stewie and Sabrina, that will be fun.
Yeah. So,
I'm excited.
Yeah. It's a fun time for us to learn our first All-Stars because we know all these players at this point.
Yeah.
But to see them, get this award is always neat. And, we're building that lore that we are constantly doing with the show. So it's exciting that this is our first All-Star crop, and to be able to compare it with an Olympic team at the same time is like a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because it's not something that you do in the NBA where you have an Olympic team versus the rest of the All-Stars. This is a unique situation for the WNBA.
Yeah.
That I am very much a fan of.
I at least think like people on this Team W will want to kind of prove themselves against Team USA to be like, oh, I'm good enough to be on Team USA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at least Team W is going to want to play for something. So then then they have to play too.
Chip on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Well, look forward to that. We've got the All-Star game coming up on July 20th. That's just over 2.5 weeks away. Mm-hmm. So we'll be excited. We'll be there. We'll be watching the skills competition and the 3-point competition the night before.
Yeah.
But, do yourself a service and check out WNBA All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to do it for our show this week. Excited that we finally have an idea about who some of the fan favorites are in the league. Obviously, you can kind of know that. And, of course, some of the rookies are going to get a little boosted. So it makes sense that we see, Caitlin here on this roster. But it's always an exciting time. I like All-Star a little bit more than some people. I know some people think it's a fake game. But, I think the NBA has always done a good job with the All-Star weekend. And I'm excited to know that there's a skills competition and a 3-point shooting competition before the big game on the 20th. So it'll be fun to see. And especially leading into the Olympics, we get to see a little look of this Olympic team playing together. It's going to be cool. So, Kristen, do you have anything else for our lovely listeners before we do a send-off today?
No. I think have a good weekend.
Yes, enjoy your holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And watch some more WNBA.
Appreciate Ellie. Go look up Ellie's Beyonce tribute.
Okay.
That was a great halftime performance by perhaps the best mascot in sports.
In sports.
That can be a debate next time.
Let's go in basketball first.
Well,
before we hopscotch the Philly Fanatic. You can't deny.
The Philly Fanatic is not
deny him
dressing up as Beyonce.
He actually probably has. Let's Google that.
Know
let's Google that. Google Philly Fanatic Beyonce halftime performance, the halftime of a baseball game, which doesn't exist.
Okay, sure. I don't think it is real.
I'll give Ellie her flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Because she does by far have the best personality of any mascot in the WNBA by leaps and bounds. But
yeah,
we gotta be careful.
Okay, so we'll see. I'm going to have Ellie on highlight reel as we're being Liberty fans this week.
Yes. There will be Ellie talk.
Yeah. And we're just excited to have our friend Matt on with us next week.
Yes. So look forward to that. And as we say around these parts, as we're leaving, I'm looking at it. What do I do when I see the baseline?
Mm-hmm. Attack it.
That's right. Attack the baseline. We're John and Kristen. Send us an email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Let us know how you're feeling about the show. Let us know what teams you're excited about. If you're super passionate about a team that we haven't talked about, feel free to give us a shout, and you could be a guest on the show.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of running out.
But we will find it. We will find you.
Yeah.
But until then, attack the baseline. We love you. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.